Welcome to the Great Lakes Fishing Podcast. We're with Tim Parker. We're out on the water here with Captain Chris Ingalls and First Mate Tim fishing out of Manistee. It's been a great morning this morning. Tim, you're a guy that's commented on a ton of our live shows. You're a regular whenever we're on there. If you're looking in the comments, he's Blind Osprey. Where'd that name come from?
Well, the old saying goes, I've always told that even a blind squirrel could find a nut somewhere. And so I needed a good name to use on social media, and I went ahead with the Blind Osprey. Ospreys are amazing fish catching machines, so I figure even a blind one can catch a fish once in a while. And that's kind of been my attitude when I'm fishing on my boat or fishing with others. We just might pick one up here and there. So even a blind osprey can catch a fish.
Well, you guys have been amazing fish catching machines this morning. It's been a really good morning here this morning. Can you tell us a little bit about how our day's gone today?
Well, we started out slow, and I say slow because we were able to set 14 rods in the dark without one going off, and then just a few minutes later, then it became very busy. And we had, I think our first hit was on a low diver and a meat rig, and then it slowly picked away at the other rods, including some long lines went off, some board lines and riggers went off, and we were shuffling stuff back and forth. And when you watch sometimes this action happening, you wonder what's happening. We have a 12-foot wide beam here on the dark blue charter, and it gets congested fast when we're moving rods, and sometimes we have to move divers from one side of the boat. We'll have port side divers that we've actually moved all the way over to the starboard side to try to clear out and keep a fish out of the chaos.
You guys fish out of Manistee. We're out of Manistee this morning. For people who don't know the area, don't know what it's about, tell me a little bit about fishing out of Manistee.
Manistee is an amazing area for fishing. It's quite a draw. We have some crazy currents here that come shooting from the point, which is between Manistee and Ludington. But we have the Little Manistee and the Big Manistee River, which dumps into Manistee Lake and subsequently into Manistee. So there's a huge draw of fish. DNR still is planning a lot of kings up here. They pull them out of the Little Manistee River weir that gets shut down around August 15th, and they'll do all the egg take in October 1 through the 3rd, somewhere in that time frame, depending on the ripeness of the fish. And then they open that weir back up, and then some of those fish are allowed to run up the Little Manistee, but the Big Manistee is the draw. Everybody has heard of Tippy Dam, and that's quite an amazing fishery. A lot of people up there elbow to elbow for the next month and a half.
We're out here in late August today, but what is this fishery like in the spring and kind of early summer? What does it look like?
Well, spring starts out with fish in close. A lot of lake trout are caught real close to shore, and guys do really well there. And then immediately we get a little bit of a transition. As soon as that water warms up a little bit, the bait comes in. And when a bait comes in this last year in late April, first part of May, we had kings. And we had kings more than what we've seen in a while all over the place. We were able to come out and catch a bunch of kings. That spring kings are crazy. They're in cold water and they are full of it, and they rip the snot out of everything. From there we transition into warmer water. Water temperature sends them out, and then we usually go to lake trout fishing. And we have really good lake trout fishing. We'll put limits of lake trout in the boat, waiting for those kings to show back up.
Tell me a little bit about some of the favorite lures, some of the favorite things you guys like to put on your lines out here.
We'll run everything from a flash or fly combination to meat rigs, plugs. We generally don't get into running a lot of plugs on the dark blue charters until July, late July, first part of August, and then plugs start to dominate heavily. Spoons still work, no question about it. But the plugs just seem to really irritate those kings, and they hammer those.
What are some of your favorite color patterns?
Well, overall, I would have to say anything green. They just seem to work. There's some days that the blues will pick up when nothing else is happening, but earlier we had a large contingency of coho in the area, and when we were catching those coho, they wanted a lot of white stuff out there too.
You said earlier, the kings have really been good this year. What do you think has led to this big crop of kings that we have out here right now?
Well, the fishery has definitely improved. You talk to a lot of guys, and they'll tell you that the DNR has done well with backing off on the planning. We all complained about it, but it's come back very well, and it's been evidenced by the people that've seen the videos. They've seen the pictures of our cleaning stations for Manistee, Ludington, carcasses everywhere, and you don't get all those carcasses if it's slow fishing. A lot of people are catching fish.
So this morning we're coming out, and you guys are setting gear, you and Chris. How long have you guys worked together?
I think this is our third full year that we worked together, and it's been working pretty good for both of us, I think. At least from my angle, you have to ask the captain what he has to say. At any one day, we're subject to change, but I'm fortunate enough that I'm able to be up here most of the month of August with him, and I fish throughout the spring on occasions because I normally live in southern Michigan, and so anytime I can be up here and fishing with him out on the boat, it's a great time.
You guys were working this morning like a well-oiled machine. When you come up and fish with Chris for a month, how do you guys kind of work together and jive? And do you guys set things up similarly? Do you set things up in contrast? And do you feel like that's a strength or weakness for you?
Well, it seems to have worked out well for us. We're generally setting up in the dark. And what I usually do is I'm working with the rigger right away that has the fish hawk on it. We want that down quickly so we can see what our speed is, what our temperature is, our break. And we're keying after that for everything else from that point forward. But then I immediately go to long lines, and generally we run 3 long lines on the boat. And so I'm running long lines, a rigger. While I'm running the long lines in a rigger, Captain's already got down his out and down and his shoot rigger, and then he works on the divers. And so by the time I've got all my long lines strung up behind the boat and they're pulling to the side, then at that point in time, he's working on his long lines. Then I move to my divers, and I'm able to put my high and low diver down, and we just don't have any tangles at all. Works really well.
And you guys are kind of getting that water column covered right away then, early on as you're getting out there, because you're basically setting up your program in reverse of each other.
That's the very first thing that goes down, like I say, is the rigger with the fish hawk on it.
Very cool. Tell me about what it's like for you just out here working with Chris in general. I'm really impressed with how you guys put your program together today. What's it like for you to work with him?
It's been great. Chris is a very easygoing captain. It doesn't take anything to really rattle him at all. He's able to go with the flow, whether it's boat traffic out here, whether it's clients, whatever it is. He's easy to get along with, very easy tempered, and that makes it great, as opposed to fishing with somebody. We've already fished with somebody who's throwing stuff everywhere in the boat, and that's bad, and we just don't operate that way, and that makes a great environment. We're able to get along very well.
You're an experienced mate. You got your captain's license. If you have someone that's kind of out there and trying to establish themselves in this business, what's the best advice you could give them?
My best advice is to get on the water as much as you can. Find somebody that you can get out and fish with and pick up everything. I try to fish on other boats often, including my own, and I learn something off of everybody's boat. That's what's important. Everybody does things a little bit differently, and when you get all set up, every captain out there runs some of their programs a little different from the next guy, but they make it work for themselves.
Very good, Tim. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about today?
No, I think we're great. Other than the only thing I would add is that new fishhawk probe. I told a quick story earlier about it. I asked the captain when's the last time he charged it, and he's telling me, it's been 3 weeks, maybe a month ago. And I looked at him in dismay. I'm like, come on. You know how it is the next day. We're going to go out, and that fishhawk probe's going to die because you didn't charge it. And I had to twist his arm to charge it, and he put it on his charger. So I was very much impressed with the length of time that probe has been running without a charge.
All right, really appreciate it. First Mate Tim on board Dark Blue Charters this morning in Manistee, Michigan. Great morning, and just appreciate your time here today.
Thanks.